Welcome to the deep dive. So, today our mission is basically to figure out how to escape the matrix of our own anxiety, which, is no small task.
Yeah, definitely a massive topic, but we have a really incredible framework for it today.
We really do. We're exploring what is essentially an operational manual for reality. And before we jump in, I want to clearly state where these profound materials come from.
Right. It's so important to credit this properly.
Exactly. So this is produced by Buddhist Practice Incorporated Australia. The speaker is consultant Benny. And we have a seeker of Buddhist teachings, Venerable Ivy. Production is by Notebook Bohm and Dawn. We are super grateful to have this material to dive into.
Absolutely. It's a really deep ocean of thought we're getting into today.
It really is. So to get us started, I want you to just imagine for a second that you are wearing the most advanced VR headset on the market.
Oh, like one of those fully immersive, hyper-realistic rigs.
Right, totally immersive. You're playing the survival game, and suddenly a wild beast chases you out of a dense forest. And it chases you right to the edge of a bottomless cliff.
Just a sheer drop.
Yeah, a terrifying mile-high drop. You
Yeah.
look down, and I want you to think about the very real physical reactions your body would have in that exact fraction of a second.
I mean, your heart rate would probably spike to like 150 beats per minute instantly.
Exactly. You've got sweaty palms, your breathing gets rapid and shallow, and you might even feel that dull, tight ache of panic right in your chest.
Which is wild, but it makes perfect biological sense. Your nervous system is just completely consumed by a genuine survival response.
Right.
As far as your adrenal glands know, the threat of that cliff is entirely real.
But then you just rip the headset off.
The screen goes dark.
Yeah, and the bright light of the room hits your eyes, and you realize you're just sitting in your pajamas. You're completely safe on your living room sofa.
The beast and the cliff were literally never there.
Right, they weren't physical objects. They were just lines of silent code executing in a processor.
Yeah.
But your physical, biological body still reacted with absolute terror.
Because your brain accepted that virtual data as absolute reality.
Exactly. And that brings us to the core premise of our deep dive today. What if we push this thought experiment one massive step further?
This is where it gets really mind-bending.
It really does.
Yeah.
Like, what if the living room you're sitting in right now, your daily anxieties, your interpersonal dramas at work, and even the you that you think you are, what if all of that is also just code displaying on a giant cosmic screen?
I mean, it's a staggering leap in perspective.
It is.
But the source material we're examining, it isn't just an abstract philosophical thought exercise meant to just, make you dizzy.
No, not at all.
It is a highly practical, operational manual for understanding the underlying code of the universe. We are basically looking at the mechanics of how to actually take off the VR headset of our daily reality.
And to do that, we first really need to understand how the code of this reality is written and transmitted in the first place.
Right, you can't hack the system if you don't know the language.
Exactly. And the framework starts by tackling this with a really fascinating contradiction that I found in the source material regarding a concept called the Pure Land.
Ah, yes. The realm of ultimate bliss.
Right. So in the text, the Pure Land is supposed to be completely beyond the cycle of reincarnation. It's beyond all worldly suffering and fundamentally beyond physical laws.
It's totally non-physical.
Right. But here's where I got hung up on a logical paradox. The text describes this transcendent realm using highly physical, almost opulent objects.
Right, it talks about ground made of lapis lazuli.
Yes. Lapis lazuli, brilliant moonlight, lakes of pure water, and giant botanical lotus flowers. And my pushback reading this was, like, if I have supposedly transcended physical laws and I no longer even have a physical biological body.
What do you need a giant lotus flower for?
Exactly. Like, why is there a botanical plant in a formless dimension? It feels like a massive logical contradiction.
It totally does, but the confusion is actually justified. And it brings us to this foundational mechanism of the philosophy, which is cross-channel communication.
Okay, let's unpack that.
Or, to put it in a way modern software developers would understand, it's a matter of user interface or UI design.
Wait, so you're saying a lotus flower is a user interface?
Essentially, yeah. Think about it from the perspective of an enlightened being, like a Buddha or a Bodhisattva operating at a vastly higher dimension of consciousness.
Okay.
Their defining characteristic is boundless compassion, right? So they want to send a signal to us to guide us out of our suffering.
Right, they're trying to communicate with us.
But the problem is, we are sentient beings who are completely obsessed with and trapped by physical entities. We only really understand shapes, colors, and material value.
We're totally locked into the physical channel.
Exactly. So if they broadcast their signal in its pure, infinite, formless state, it would go right over our heads. Our hardware just couldn't receive it.
Oh, wow, so they have to downshift the signal.
Precisely. They have to render it in a way we can see.
You know, the text actually uses a brilliant analogy for this that totally made it click for me. It's like trying to explain the abstract, profound concept of love to a strict, rigidly literal physicist.
Oh, that's a great comparison.
Yeah, because you can't just hand a strict physicist a book of romantic poetry. They'd probably reject it as nonsensical.
Right? It doesn't compute for them.
So you have to translate the concept of love into the language of dopamine receptors and oxytocin secretions for them to even begin to grasp the framework.
That is the perfect way to look at it. Those lotus flowers, the lapis lazuli ground, the pure water, they aren't literal botanical plants or geological rocks just waiting in another dimension.
Right.
They are visualized code. They are a highly specific, tailored UI designed exclusively for our frequency.
That's so cool.
Yeah, the enlightened beings render the ultimate truth in a format of supreme beauty and purity. So our current operating system can actually process the signal of liberation without just rejecting it outright.
Which perfectly sets up one of the most mind-bending principles from the source material, which is mind, Buddha, and sentient beings have no difference.
That is a huge concept.
It is. Because if the universe is fundamentally a giant screen, then a beautiful lotus flower, a suffering mortal stressing about their rent, and a completely enlightened Buddha are all just different images rendered from the exact same underlying base code.
I mean, from the perspective of the screen itself, there is absolutely zero difference between displaying a raging forest fire and displaying a calm, reflective lake.
Exactly. The screen doesn't get burned by the fire.
Right. It doesn't change its fundamental nature to show the fire. It's all the same code, just organized differently.
Okay, I totally see the logic there. But it raises a really obvious real-world question.
Which is?
Well, if a Buddha and an ordinary person are made of the exact same base code, and we supposedly possess the exact same underlying potential, why are our actual lived experiences so wildly, painfully different?
That is the big question. And the source actually clarifies this using a really helpful software engineer metaphor.
Okay, I love the tech analogies today.
They work so well. So think of a Buddha as a top-tier senior master programmer who has completely figured out the underlying rules of the cosmic code.
Right.
Because they deeply understand the laws of causality and the empty nature of reality, they can input code incredibly smoothly. They write flawless scripts that render perfect, beautiful, harmonious programs, like those lotus flowers.
Okay, so if a Buddha is a senior developer smoothly writing flawless code, then I look at my own life, my daily anxieties, my recurring bad habits, my overreactions, and I feel like a toddler who sneaked into the server room and is just smashing my palms on the keyboard, hoping a program runs.
I mean, that is painfully accurate for all of us.
It really is.
We own the exact same universally powerful computer hardware as the master programmer, but we have absolutely no idea how the operating system actually works.
None whatsoever.
So driven by our delusions, our sudden emotional spikes, and our blind impulses, we basically just close our eyes and mash the keys.
And naturally, a keyboard smash results in buggy code, corrupted files, and total system crashes.
Right.
Which, when maps onto our daily lives, is exactly what we experience as painful setbacks, miseries, and dashed hopes.
It's all just corrupted code we wrote ourselves. And what gives this ancient framework so much weight is how seamlessly modern science actually parallels it.
Oh, totally.
Think about the greatest scientific minds, like Einstein or Tesla. They push the study of physical matter to its absolute microscopic limit.
Right, looking for the building blocks of the universe.
Exactly. And when you break solid matter down past molecules, past atoms, and past quarks, you don't actually find tiny solid building blocks.
You just find empty space.
Right. You find pure energy, space, and probability.
It's wild. The ultimate boundary of quantum physics basically proves that the essence of matter is empty. And it points right back to where this source material points, which is the mind of the observer.
Yeah.
The universe isn't solid matter. It's the underlying consciousness observing and rendering it.
So the ancient spiritual text and the modern quantum physicist arrive at the exact same conclusion regarding the screen.
Okay, but let's drag this profound quantum revelation down to a Tuesday afternoon reality check for a second.
Fair enough. Let's ground it.
Because if science and these ancient teachings both agree that we possess the exact same potential as a master programmer, and that we are essentially this vast, invincible cosmic screen,
Why do we still suffer?
yeah, why do we completely fall apart when someone leaves, like a snarky, passive-aggressive comment on our social media?
That massive cognitive dissonance is exactly what the source addresses with its most striking metaphor, the ocean and the bubble.
Oh, I love this metaphor.
The text points out that the true tragedy of our existence isn't that our external environment is uniquely dangerous or cruel. The real tragedy is our deep, fundamental cognitive error regarding who we actually are.
Let's unpack the ocean metaphor, because the visual is just incredible. Imagine we are all swimming in a boundless, infinite ocean. It's vast, it's deep, and it is entirely who we are.
It's our true nature.
Right. But instead of realizing our vastness, we latch on to one tiny, fragile little bubble floating on the surface of the water.
Still one little bubble.
Yeah, and we hug it so tightly and fiercely declare, "This bubble is me. This bubble is my entire identity."
Because a bubble is inherently fragile and temporary by nature, adopting it as your entire identity requires a massive, exhausting amount of energy to maintain.
It's so absurd when you really look at human behavior through that lens. Like, we use 100% of our life energy to polish this tiny bubble.
You're right, we're constantly buffing it.
We put Instagram filters on the bubble, we try to get a corporate promotion for the bubble,
Yep.
and we aggressively defend the bubble from getting popped by someone else's opinion.
While being completely oblivious to the fact that the entire indestructible ocean is actually us.
It's exhausting just thinking about it. Going back to our tech analogy,
Mhm.
it really is comical. It's like two little digital avatars generated on a computer screen, violently pulling each other's hair, fighting to the death over a single pixel of screen space, and generating endless drama.
All while being totally unaware that they are both just temporary images rendered on the exact same monitor.
Exactly.
So if we want to stop generating that drama, if we want to stop clinging to this exhausting, fragile bubble, we really have to figure out what the self we're defending actually is.
Right, like, what are we protecting?
When you say me, what are you actually referring to? The source provides the key here by meticulously deconstructing the mind into three distinct mechanisms.
And if you don't separate these three, you just stay trapped in the illusion.
Exactly.
All right, so let's dissect the self. The text calls the first mechanism the meat lump mind.
Which is such a graphic, visceral translation.
It really is. It's basically describing the physical heart. It's essentially a biological water pump created by our parents' genetics. But I need to push back on the text here for a second.
Okay, what's the pushback?
Well, if my heart is literally just a mechanical water pump moving blood around, then why, when I get dumped, or when I am deeply betrayed by a friend, do I feel a very real, agonizing physical ache in my chest?
Because it feels like the heart is generating the sadness.
It absolutely feels like my physical heart is the thing generating that profound emotional pain.
And the physical sensation is completely real, but the attribution is wrong.
What do you mean?
The biological pump is experiencing real physical constriction, yes, but it does not originate or create the emotion. It merely follows orders.
Oh, interesting.
And those orders come from the second mechanism, the conditioned mind.
So the conditioned mind is the data processor.
Exactly. Think of it as a background server that never, ever powers down. It is constantly scanning external data. Let's use a real-world scenario. Say you wake up, check your phone, and there's a cryptic email from your boss that just says, "We need to talk."
Oh, the worst email to get.
The absolute worst. So the conditioned mind takes that visual data, calculates it rapidly, and frantically applies labels based on past conditioning. It slaps a massive red warning label on that email that says, "Threat to survival, threat to ego."
And once it applies that threat label, it triggers the hardware.
Bingo.
It sends a high-voltage signal to the nervous system, flooding your bloodstream with cortisol and adrenaline. And that chemical cocktail physically squeezes your blood vessels, which in turn violently squeezes the meat lump, the physical heart pump.
Which is exactly why your chest physically hurts.
Wow. So the physical heart is just the dumb hardware reacting to the software's panic sequence.
Exactly. The conditioned mind is basically a rogue background app constantly draining our battery. It spends every waking second judging good versus bad, agonizing over the past, and catastrophizing about tomorrow.
And our fatal mistake, The reason we suffer so much is that we deeply identify with that frantic background app. We think the app is us.
Right. We think we are the panic, but that brings us to the third mind, which the text argues is our true nature, the true or spiritual mind.
And the source describes this using a beautiful phrase. It says, mixing with 1,000 differences without being chaotic, existing through time without changing.
How would you translate that using our screen framework?
I think this is the real aha moment of the deep dive. The true mind is the flawless computer monitor itself. It's almost like, okay, imagine the conditioned mind is a really loud, incredibly biased sports commentator screaming about every missed pass and bad call during a game.
Okay, I can picture that.
The true mind isn't the commentator, and it isn't the players on the field. The true mind is the grassy field itself.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, it holds the entire game. It supports everything happening, but it doesn't care who wins or loses. It can play a horrific, chaotic movie about a bomb exploding that's mixing with 1,000 differences.
But the screen never catches fire.
Exactly. It doesn't burn. It can play a heartbreaking tragedy, but the screen doesn't shed a single tear. It possesses pure, unshakable awareness.
Yeah.
It witnesses your chest pain and your anxiety about your boss's email, but is never actually harmed by them.
It is the absolute flawless witness.
Right.
But, we have to address the elephant in the room here.
Yeah.
If we all inherently possess this invincible true mind, why does our daily life feel so incredibly chaotic and painful most of the time?
Right.
To explain this, the source uses a vividly terrifying nightmare metaphor to describe our current lived experience.
It paints an almost suffocating picture of how we actually navigate the world.
It really does. Imagine you are treading water in a pitch-black ocean at night. You can't even see the water, but you feel heavy waves crashing into you from all sides.
Just total sensory deprivation mixed with chaos.
Exactly. And because you are totally blind to the underlying rules of the ocean, the code, you just blindly grope in the dark. Suddenly, your hand finds a piece of cake floating by.
Okay, cake is good.
Right, you gorge on it, you feel validated, and your conditioned mind says, I'm a winner. Life is good.
But because you don't know how anything actually works, you just keep blindly grabbing in the dark, hoping for more cake.
And inevitably, your hand smashes into a sea urchin.
A spiky hedgehog in the water.
Yeah. Your hand starts bleeding profusely, and you scream in agony.
And notice what happens next. Notice how our conditioned mind reacts to the pain of the sea urchin.
Oh, it's so predictable.
We play the ultimate blame game. We curse the heavens. We blame our upbringing. We blame the economy. Or we project all our rage onto the sea urchin, accusing it of maliciously swimming over to attack us.
We make it a victim narrative. But the harsh, liberating truth revealed in the text is this. Absolutely no one forced you to grab it. The sea urchin was just existing. It didn't hunt you down. Driven completely by your conditioned mind's blind, frantic impulses, that desperate, unyielding need to find more cake to feed the ego, you smashed your own hand into the spikes.
Ugh, that is a bitter pill to swallow. Because to protect our tiny bubble and validate our identity as the victim, we stubbornly refuse to admit that our own blind flailing in the dark is the root cause of our pain.
We just want to yell at the
We
urchin.
really do. But the alternative to this dark, exhausting ocean of blind grasping is the ultimate goal, often referred to as nirvana.
And the source poetically describes this awakened state as a solitary autumn moon shining in the mid-sky.
That sounds incredible.
It represents a state of absolute crisp coolness, complete clarity, and a peace that is totally beyond all worldly frantic feelings.
A solitary autumn moon sounds like exactly what my nervous system needs right now. So how does the text say we actually get there?
The instruction is surprisingly simple, though definitely not easy. To reach this moon, you must quote-unquote power off.
Okay, let me pause you right there because powering off sounds like a trap.
How so?
Well, if I turn off my conditioned mind, if I stop labeling things as good and bad, don't I just become an apathetic vegetable? Like if my boss hands me a massive high-stakes project tomorrow that determines my entire career trajectory, how do I survive in the hyper-competitive modern world if my brain is just powered off?
Yeah, that is the most common fear people have when encountering this philosophy. But you have to remember the three minds.
Okay.
You aren't taking a hammer to your physical hardware. You aren't losing your intellect, your memory, or your ability to take dynamic action.
So what am I turning off?
You are simply force quitting the malware of attachment.
Unpack that a bit more.
Very fair.
Force quitting the malware versus the hardware.
So when your boss hands you that massive project, your conditioned mind immediately slaps a heavy label on it. If I fail this, my career is over, I won't be able to pay my mortgage, my life is ruined.
The classic downward spiral.
Exactly. That dramatic, catastrophizing narrative is the malware. It drains all your processing power. By powering off, you unplug the power cord of that specific anxiety. You force quit the ego's narrative.
Ah, I see.
When you do that, your true mind, that cool, clear, highly capable autumn moon, can actually shine through. It allows you to execute the project with pristine clarity, focus, and wisdom, rather than fumbling through the work in a panicked, dark ocean state.
I love that distinction. It's not inaction or apathy. It's pristine action without the panic tax. You do the work, but you don't suffer over the work.
Exactly.
That makes total sense.
Yeah.
But here is where the source drops a massive, shocking plot twist. Because right now you might be listening and thinking, fantastic, I'll force quit the malware, I'll find my solitary autumn moon, and I will just chill in my perfect, untouchable peace forever.
And according to the wisdom of the Avatamsaka Sutra, which the source text draws heavily upon, if you do exactly that, you are making a grave cosmic mistake.
The warning here is wild. The text actually reveals that if you go through all this agonizing inner work, if you finally figure out the underlying code, stop blindly grabbing sea urchins and attain absolute cool peace,
Yeah.
and then you choose to just stay there and enjoy it, you are actually committing demonic karma.
It sounds incredibly contradictory at first glance.
It sounds totally unfair.
Yeah.
I feel like you have to speak for the listener here. Like, I did the agonizing inner work. I stopped blaming the world for my problems. I meditated. I found my absolute peace. And now you're telling me that enjoying my own hard-earned peace makes me a villain generating demonic karma.
I know, it sounds harsh. But let's zoom out and look at the structural code again. It makes perfect sense when you realize what you're actually doing by staying in that peace.
Okay, explained.
It is basically a form of high-dimensional selfishness. If you look down at the chaotic world and say, I'm finally free, those people down there are too messy and blind, I'm staying up here in my peaceful realm.
Yeah.
You haven't actually escaped the illusion of separation. You have just grabbed another bubble.
Oh, a spiritual bubble.
Exactly. It's a much fancier, highly enlightened, incredibly blissful bubble. But it is still a bubble, because by making that choice, you are fundamentally drawing a hard dualistic line between my peace and your suffering.
You're saying I am different from that.
Exactly.
Which violates the very first rule we learned today.
Yeah.
If I still see a fundamental difference between myself and others, I haven't actually realized that I am the entire ocean. I'm still playing a separation game, just on a much higher, sneakier level.
You got it. True awakened beings, bodhisattvas in this tradition, don't stop at the moon. They experience that perfect bliss, they see the absolute truth of the invincible screen, and then they choose to reboot.
They go back in.
They willingly dive right back into the pitch black ocean, right alongside the sea urchins and the screaming, flailing people.
But why? Like, if they have the cheat code, why on earth would they go back into the dark water to get spiked?
Because from the foundational code level, they see with absolute clarity that every suffering person, every sea urchin, and every wave is just another manifestation on the exact same screen.
Yeah.
There are no others. They realize that saving others is quite literally saving yourself because the screen is entirely one unified thing. You just cannot be completely free if another part of the screen is still running a suffering program.
Man, that is a staggering perspective shift. It completely reframes how we view our entire lives. Like, we aren't just biological water pumps helplessly taking a beating from a cruel world.
No, we aren't.
And we aren't anxiety machines condemned to blindly grab for cake and scream at sea urchins. We are the indestructible screen that witnesses all the tragedy and all the joy without ever being scratched. We are the entire ocean.
And the ultimate value of all this knowledge really lies in how you apply it to your daily life.
Absolutely. So we want to leave you with a direct, actionable challenge for the week ahead, because you will inevitably grab a sea urchin this week.
Oh, guaranteed.
Maybe it's a difficult client who yells at you, or a sudden, unexpected financial stress, or just, a quiet wave of deep self-doubt while you're trying to fall asleep.
It happens to all of us.
When that happens, and you feel the conditioned mind flooding your body with cortisol, when you feel the urge to lash out, to blame the urchin, or to aggressively blame yourself, try to pause.
Just for 1 second.
Yeah. Don't yell at the urchin. Take a breath, step back, and try to feel the presence of that cool, perfectly still screen inside you that is merely broadcasting the event. Practice taking off the VR headset of anxiety.
And as you practice unplugging from that malware this week, I want to leave you with one final question to ponder long after this deep dive ends.
Give it to us.
We established that your daily life is just code rendering in a VR headset, and your true mind is the flawless screen displaying it. But when you finally achieve complete awareness, when you reach up and take the headset off, who or what is holding the remote control?
Wow, what a beautiful mystery to leave it on. Thank you so much for taking this profound journey with us. Remember to take that cool, clear moonlight back into your daily lives and use it to illuminate the path for everyone else sharing the screen with you. We'll see you next time.